violence and other kind of violence.
Guess what? I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. But I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, YouTube? It's the Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let's get into the video.
You say I'm like, why are you playing with mom? I stay on the woods, try to give me some money. Quit drugs in my body, I feel like a mummy. I catch me up, I'ma give.
So, this is not funny, but I want you guys to pay attention to what is going on with the culture, with the youth especially. A lot of these young cats is growing up to be rappers, and you know, not everybody can be a rapper, okay? Now, I'm not ishing on nobody's dream and whatnot. You can do what you want, but I think this part goes too far. This goes too far. Lil Buddy is smoking gas. They counting up money. They got bags of weed. Can't be over the age of 13. And I'm pretty sure they don't have a father in the house to correct this behavior. Not only to tell him, hey, you making yourself hot at a very young age. Hey, you could get suspended from school. They not thinking about that. They don't care, quite frankly. Because these dudes are already ingrained in the streets.
These niggas be bluffing, they really don't want it. He said that the smoke, I'ma end the discussion. I'm not with the beef, I'm straight at the dump, and I'm.
He said they want smoke. I'm going to end the discussion. And motioned as if he was pointing a gun.
Going for broke, I ain't going for nothing. I'm stacking my money, ain't far from 100. I say check the safe is a whole lot of bands. I'm a young nigga with a whole lot of plans. I don't need a brothers, no whole lot of friends. If I catch that little nigga, I'm making a band. Really living this shit.
I'm not gonna lie, the song is hard. The song is hard.
It is not for the brand. It's catching me slugs, ain't catching no hand. I ain't even go cap, I be fucking my fans. I pull up on the cell, then we go hand in hand. No Batman.
Bro, how do these little dudes have so much weed, bro?
Niggas be cat rap, fucked off side, they don't get back. Freestyle when we was lit, that's a.
And that leads me to our next discussion. So we got, I guess she's some love and hip hop girl named Tommy, okay? And she has an unruly daughter. It appears that she is a single mother, and she's trying to raise a daughter in this toxic black culture, okay? And it isn't turning out good. I told you guys a lot of times that these women, these young girls, are also on demon time. It's not just the young males now. So she says, Ish not cute at all, but the law says we can't discipline our children right, so I should just let her endanger her life as well as others because she's a teenager, right? Where's all the perfect parents out there? What would y'all perfect behinds do in this situation? So her kid basically steals her car, and she puts in the caption, but I'm a bad parent, right? This the type of ish my kid does when I'm out of town working, steals my car and wreck them, but when I discipline her, I'm wrong. Okay? So as you can see, no father in sight. And this is what when it comes to a family, a woman cannot properly administer discipline to any child after they turn like 10 years old. Not only a young boy, but a young girl either. She can't discipline neither of them properly. Okay? Because at some point the kids are going to buck, and she's not going to be effective anymore with her discipline. And her discipline is going to have to increase until you're going to have to damn near beat the kid into the ground for them to listen and submit. And what the little girl has found out is that she can just call the police if she's getting a whooping. So now she's not afraid of whoopings no more.
But you're a bad parent. You're a bad parent when you beat your kids. But when they stealing cars, you can't even go out of town when they stealing cars and damn, they're about to kill themselves. Then what you supposed to do, right?
She goes, all in all, I appreciate the more sensible responses, prayers, and concerns. We good. And to all my super parents that never had no funny ish happen to them and their kids would never disrespect them or try them like that. Let me borrow your pamphlet. B word, I need it. She goes, after reviewing some of these remarks, I feel compelled to speak on the fact that I've repeatedly thought about this incident, and if it had taken a turn for the worse all day, while most of everybody who commented said I should beat my child and spoke as if they knew that's where my head was when I mentioned discipline. And to be honest, it wasn't. My previous run-in with my child that was so publicly scrutinized was her second time I've ever had to be physical with her, and both times I cried after her. If you know me in real life, then you know this to be true. Furthermore, while a lot of people focus was on the car, the F1 Jag that has 200 on the dash, which had a 14-year-old driving it from Tarzana to Beverly Hills with very little experience, the horsepower on that car with the lack of knowledge being driven by a child could have left my child dead, was where my focus and frustration lies. This experience has taught me a few things, and the main thing is none of us have this parenting-ish on lock. And unlike you privileged MFs, I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I have to work to provide for my family. So that whole you should have been home-ish is a joke to me, because if I have stayed home, I won't have a home. Okay, so I understand her grief. Look, this is a strong, independent woman. She's by herself. She doesn't have a man. And she is basically, she's basically trying to rear her child in the way that a child should go. But the thing is, a lot of times children look at the parents of, children look at the actions of the parents, okay? So if the parent is out here wilding, and we know that this woman, Tommy, has wilded out before on these reality TV shows and whatnot, then the children start to emulate that behavior. So this little girl that she has is rebellious. She's lashing out. It happens often, but at the same time, a 2-parent household would, boom, sew this whole situation up. But you see a lot of these women, especially these women in the limelight who posting booty pics and stuff like that, like Tommy is, they basically either pick a man who is not father material, or they push the father away. So unfortunately, she gonna have to handle this young rebellious girl and do whatever she can to raise her to 18 so she can get up out the house. And once she's gone, you don't gotta worry about her no more. I mean, obviously you're gonna worry because you're a parent, but the burden of parenthood is not on you. You did what you could do, okay?
5:30, 3 teenagers charged in the murder of 18-year-old DJ Grant in Miramar faced a judge today. The 3 teens could eventually face those charges in adult court.
CBS 4's Ted Scouten was in court this morning and joins us now with what to expect in this case. Ted?
Yeah, Lauren and Elliot, those 3 teen suspects could face some serious prison time if they are moved over into adult court and they're convicted.
All right, I'm going to take Andre Clemens.
17-year-old Andre Clemens is one of 3 teens accused in the grisly murder of 18-year-old Dwight Grant last week.
Wow, so this is heavy black on black crime. Young kids. I don't know their parenting situation, but I can assume that they have no guidance. Brutally kill this young dude, man. It's crazy.
The Miramar teen was stabbed in the neck and impaled by a sword to the chest.
Wow.
CBS 4 News normally does not identify juveniles, but because of the nature of this case, we are.
Wow, so they usually don't identify juveniles, but because of how brutal this murder was, they stabbed him with a sword, guys. They're putting their faces out there, and to no surprise, it's young black teens.
Is this Christy Parisian? Is that you, madam?
The teens appeared in court on video, learning that the state attorney's office is asking a grand jury to indict the 3, allowing a first-degree murder charge in adult court.
As the jury then returns an indictment for a life felony or a felony punishable, a capital felony.
Yeah, I mean, A lot of these kids need to start seeing real hard consequences in order to learn their lesson, because a lot of these kids, especially during this pandemic time, these children are in the streets. If they do a crime, they're getting bonded out. They're not seeing a sentencing date until Lord knows when, and they're out here still wilding, still trying to see what they can get away with.
At that point, it would be removed to adult court.
Attorney Peter Butlin is representing 17-year-old Christy Parisian.
It's always disturbing to see a 17-year-old child to be, prosecuted in an adult court.
I believe that's Jocelyn Smith. Is that you, Ms. Smith? Yes, sir.
16-year-old Jocelyn Smith could potentially see herself in adult court too.
2 young black females. And I told you guys, it's not just the young men on Demon Time, it's the women too. It's the women too.
By moving the case from the juvenile system to the adult system, the amount of punishments increases significantly.
Former state and federal prosecutor David Weinstein explains the juvenile system does not focus on punishment.
You can only be punished in the juvenile system up until you're 18.
If the grand jury returns indictments for first-degree murder and the
so that was a big point. You can only be punished in juvenile court until you're 18. So the reason why they want to push this to adult court is because if these young people were tried as kids, right, then they basically could get a sentence that isn't reflective of the crime and be out by the time they're 18. Okay? So that's why they got to take it to adult court to hold them truly accountable.
Teens are charged as adults. They could face considerable time in prison if convicted.
They're looking at sentences that would at least be 20 to 40 years potentially or more before they'd be considered eligible for parole.
So here's what happens next. The grand jury will meet on November 4th. After that, November 9th, those 3 teens are due back in court. That's when they'll find out whether or not their case could be moved to adult court. Live in Miramar, Ted Scouten, CBS 4 News.
We'll keep following the story. Ted, thank you for the update.
Some new details about the murder of a Miramar high school student. 3 teens are now facing charges in that case.
Text messages revealing how they plan to carry out that brutal murder. Local 10 News reporter Malin Wright is live in Miramar.
And you have
wow, text messages. I mean, they're dead to rights.
some really disturbing details from a police report to let us know about, right, Madeline?
That's right, Christy, Alexis. It was a horrific attack. Police say that the suspects carried the victim's lifeless body over this railing and then dragged it from these bushes to its final resting place in those bushes, where it was hidden from view for 2 days. A candlelight vigil tonight will honor the life of 18-year-old Dwight DJ Grant, who was killed just feet from his home.
Man, R.I.P. DJ, bro.
At the New Park Towers apartments on Sherman Circle North. His fellow students at Miramar High School, 17-year-old Andre Clemens.
Miramar, and that is in the Destin, Florida area, I believe. I actually went down there for vacation. It's a pretty safe town. Like, it's super safe. The beaches are cleaned every night. For this to happen in Miramar is wild. And it just gives credence, man. Like, once we got brothers and sisters and they congregate in an area, a small percentage, these types of things continue to go down.
17-year-old Christy Parisian and 16-year-old Jaslyn Smith are charged with his murder. According to an arrest affidavit, Andre was angry because the victim had sex with his ex-girlfriend. On October 11th...
Wow. So he's mad because DJ clapped his girl's cheeks. Never worth all that. Never been worth all that.
Andre texted his current girlfriend, Christy, "Murder will definitely happen soon." Surveillance video shows the teens walking toward the victim's apartment on October 17th. According to the affidavits, Christy lured DJ out of his home with the promise of sex so that Andre and their friend Jaslyn could ambush him.
So oh God. So this woman or this little girl, little fast little girl, set him up. Said that she was gonna let him clap the cheeks. He pulls up, probably got his condom on him, and they take his life. This is why them sneaky links, guys, it's not worth it. These sneaky links, it's not worth it.
According to police, Andre said to DJ, "You know who I am and why I'm here. You know I have to kill you now." At which point the victim pleaded for them to leave and said that if they leave, he will not call police or say anything to anyone. Surveillance video shows the suspects attacking DJ in the stairwell. Police say Andre punched DJ repeatedly while Jaslyn held him down to stop him from escaping, and Christy acted as a lookout. As DJ tried to defend himself, Andre pulled out a knife. After the victim was stabbed in the neck, the victim began pleading with the suspect to end it for him. Police say Andre then stabbed DJ in the chest with a sword.
Wow. All over a chick.
Police say the teens burned their blood-stained clothes right here on the grass and then threw them into the lake.
I feel bad for the kid's mom, and it's a sad situation for everybody.
That's
Back
it?
Live, police say
That's all she had to say? Come on, G.
that the suspects are also charged with tampering with evidence for...
Like, what about Black Lives Matter? What about stop killing each other? What about all this rhetoric? Oh, it's a sad situation. I feel bad for the parents. Keep it moving. What? That's all you have for these black teens? Who 4 people in this instance are going to lose their lives? That's all you got? Is I feel bad? Come on. Come on, Auntie. Come on.
Cleaning the blood from the stairwell, and they are also charged with conspiracy for plotting the murder. 2 of the 3 suspects confessed to the crime. Live in Miramar, Madeline Wright, Local 10 News.
About time. The brother of 18-year-old Mona Rodriguez, shot and killed by a Long Beach school safety officer last month, speaking for the first time on word that the officer will now face a murder charge.
That's what I said out loud, about time.
So, y'all remember I did this story, and this woman pulled up to a high school to fight, and as she's leaving the high school, it's a grown woman going back to the high school to fight, which happens often, more often than not. But it's usually men, young males, but this time it's a young woman. She goes back to the high school and fight. The security guard tries to stop her, and she drives past him, and he shoots into the vehicle. That security guard's being charged with murder now. I guess he probably tried to plead that the vehicle could have been interpreted as a weapon, because she did pull off pretty quick. But I don't think she deserved them shots, definitely. But what is the mentality of a woman who has a child, which she's leaving a child behind, who has a child, to go back to a high school full of children to fight?
The 18-year-old Rodriguez was a passenger in a car fleeing a fight she was allegedly involved in with a 15-year-old near Milliken High School when cell phone video caught the moment school safety officer Eddie Gonzalez opened fire.
This is an unfortunate and unnecessary death.
So the resource officer is Eddie Gonzalez, okay? It's not like he's like a white KKK officer, this and the third. It appears that he's Hispanic. And he made a huge mistake. Huge mistake.
He left a 6-month-old without a mother, a family without a daughter, and clearly a tremendous loss to our entire community.
L.A. District Attorney George Gascon repeating that the officer will face murder charges in the first degree, an implication of intent to kill, but stepping back from specifics.
The details of how we got there, we're not going to get into it at the moment.
Murder one, it's the first step for this family and first step for the jury to eventually hear this. But we hope that the DA will put all their weight behind it, go after these charges.
The father-son duo of Luis and Michael Carrillo represent the Rodriguez family and say the cell phone video proves the safety officer acted in the wrong.
Everybody saw that the car was moving away. There was no imminent threat to that officer when he fired. Boom, boom, boom. There was no imminent threat.
I mean, you can say that, definitely. You could also say that he could have got caught up in her driving. Honestly, he should have let him get away. You know, fight another day, whatever. But it's just like, why are these grown women pulling back up to the high school to fight? That part, obviously she didn't deserve to lose her life, but that detail just really, I'm beside myself with that one. I mean, it's just like, bro, the mentality of these chicks is wild.
He was totally unjustified.
The Long Beach School District fired the officer and said he violated two aspects of its policy, firing at a fleeing person and firing into a moving vehicle.
This case really illustrates the importance of holding public officials accountable, especially public officials that are entrusted with the safety of our family and our kids.
And for the Rodriguez family, who stood at her bedside for more than a week before letting her go, they see today as only one step toward the justice they seek.
This type of criminal actions should not be allowed in our state, in our country.
So anyways, guys, with the final story I have here, a man waves down a Louisiana officer just to slap him in the face, reports say. So, a Louisiana man has been accused of slapping a police officer unprovoked. KNOE reported a Monroe police officer said he was driving by when Troy Davis waved him down October 24th. The officer wrote in an arrest report that Davis approached the driver's side window of the car and said, "What's up, man?" Then he slapped the officer in the face. According to the report, Davis then said, "F the police," as he began walking away. Interesting. And he didn't get shot. Nobody ran him down. Even though we know how dangerous Louisiana is, nobody did anything. I mean, he didn't get beat or kneed on his neck or anything like that. Didn't get shot up when he openly assaulted an officer. Which, I'm not saying that he would deserve that, but the narrative is that these police is just shooting. And although there are some police who are shooting, definitely, we covered a story just now, unjustified shooting. But even that one, you can still say, oh, he might have been scared that the vehicle would have hit him. Honestly, I don't know if these charges is going to stick that heavy for him. But this guy slapping a police officer, Davis was promptly arrested and booked on a felony charge of battery of a police officer. So this is what Buddy looks like. Named Troy Davis. He said F the police. And the online response is based AF. So everybody's cheering him on for doing this. You know, no foul, no harm. He did it for the culture. It's all good. But if a police officer was to arrest him and somebody pulled up and they start filming, then they go, oh, why you doing them like that? Why you doing this, that, and the third? I mean, you can't win for losing.
Gang violence and other kind of violence. So it is what it is.